Welcome back, Super Soul Sisters. Today we are going to talk about Count on Me shoes. Now, the Count on Me shoes are a great pair of shoes. And in fact, I've got that song going off in my head going, you can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. Who sings that? I don't even know. If you know, maybe stick it in the comments box. But anyway, that's the song that's going off in my head right now. And this is one of my favorite pair of shoes. And I would love it for, dare I say, a lot more people to ideally get to wear them. They are really those, when the chips are down, are you there for someone? Are you there for someone? Okay. And it's like, that is pretty much what they are. It's like, are you the person that if the proverbial hits the fan, you can go, mate, I'm there. So this is one of the things that I really want to sort of build up even more in the Super Soul Sister group, the Vicki Jane group on Facebook. If you're not already watching in that, you might want to join. It's free. It costs nothing. And it's to reestablish the kind of tight-knit community that, dare I say, our Western culture has kind of fractured. I just find that we're so splintered now in our societal ways that a lot of the Western glue, not Western glue, the familial glue, the tribe glue has been loosened and washed away in some cases, really. And I want to try and rebuild that in a Western environment. I mean, I'll and sometimes people can't actually physically be there, but it doesn't mean that you can't emotionally be there and mentally be there for somebody. So, and look, when you find someone who's got Count on Me shoes, man, hang on to those guys, because really there's not enough of us that wear these. And we were talking about this the other day with a group of ladies that came around to the house, to ours, and we were discussing this, and I said, look, she was saying there's a particular person who's really struggling, and it was like, she said, man, like, I wish I had a group of friends. She said, like, I've got friends, like they would phone if I was in trouble or whatever, but like, we go that extra step, we go that extra mile, like when everybody else is like, nah, too hard basket, we're still there. And that's the kind of community that I really want in the Facebook group, the Vicki Jane group. It's like, I'd like to adopt the slogan of, if you go down, we stand up, we pick up, and then we lift up. That is one of my slogans. So I'll say it again. If you go down, or one of our tribe go down in Facebook, I want to be able to be in a position where we've got enough of us connected so solidly, so empowered as women, that we can go, honey, let's get you back up on your feet. So we stand up and say, you can count on me. I'm going to put my shoes on. And when I make a commitment, I follow through. I'm not going to chicken out. I'm going to be there with you so that you actually do stand up. And then once you stand up, we stand up, we're going to pick you up, I beg your pardon, and then we're going to lift you up. Okay, so you got to get up, but sometimes you need a bit of help. And that Count on Me shoes, those people that you can actually lean on when the proverbial hits the fan, when quite often, it's like, it's like dust. You see people just vanishing over the hill, and you'll go, okay, where's the support? Where are the troops? And some people are left whistling in the wind, and it's not at all funny. I mean, there have been times where it's just like, OMG, I cannot believe that you would do something like that. How can you do that to your own family member, or, to your own child, or to your own, community member, for fear of what? For fear of retribution from not being included by a bunch of people who are being absolute a-holes? Really? Do you want to be part of the shallow crowd? Do you want to be in with those people who, like, if this happened to you, seriously, do you think those guys that you're running with over that hill far away are going to be there for you when the chips are on the table? No, they're going to run for the hills as well, you know. So for the sake of what, status and you know, prestige or whatever it is, it's like, oh well, they're seen as a little bit odd. Or I sometimes have it where, especially in the mental health arena, it's like, you know, there's a stigma attached to it, like there's some kind of weakness. And it's like, what a load of BS. You know, someone struggles. We're all human. Everybody struggles. You know, and it's like, if you can help someone tough it out, get through, they're going to be stronger than they ever were before. They've learned their lesson that was presented in their lifetime. They took it on board. They had the courage, the gumption to actually stick with it. Because man, I got to tell you, there have been rides for a lot of people that I've worked with, and they have hit rock bottom. And when they are skidding on the basement, literally like at the bottom of that ravine, and they are skidding along the bottom going, holy crap, I don't even know if I can get out of here. And we're able to lift them up, and we give them the wings that they need so that they can get back out. And when they get to the other side, if they can crack it and stay on top of it, those people make awesome leaders for other people who've been through the same trauma, whatever that trauma might be, or same experience that they've actually had. Now, that is not something that you look down on. That is something like, hats off to you. Kudos for you for standing up. Kudos for you for reaching out and saying, yeah, I'll take the help. Kudos for you for climbing up that friggin' cliff to get back out the other side. Kudos for you saying, do you know what? I've been there. I've done it. I've made it. I can do this. These are my you can count on me shoes. So if you are ever there, wherever there is for you, I will be there for you. Okay? Now, count on me shoes can also mean for yourself. This is one of the biggest issues that I often have with a lot of people who need help. They are quite often being everything to everybody but themselves. The last person that they are there for is themselves. So sometimes you need the count on me shoes for yourself as well. You need to be your own hero. You need to be your biggest fan. And the reason that you want to be the biggest fan is so that you can be more count on me in your shoes. Okay? Because the more stable you are, the more complete you are, the more stable you are for others, and the more that you will be able to empower and help others. You cannot give if you're right at the bottom of the barrel. So sometimes you can count on me for me, okay? So being there for yourself as much as for other people. So those count on me's are really important. And man, I gotta tell you, sometimes it requires having your Xena warrior shoes on, because if this is not just talking about a mental health issue, maybe it's, you know, a cultural no thank you shoes, you know, where we go, no thank you, no thank you, no thank you, stand up, no thank you, no thank you, brave enough to say that, you know, quietly moving away, or actually saying vocally no. And then sometimes the Xena warriors need to go on. And this is really where the count on me's can be huge, because this now starts flying in the face of, you know, this is like dangerous. This could, you know, but I am so convicted in what I'm doing that I go, BS, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not having this, and you can count on me. I will be there, and I will stand with you in this, whatever that message is. So, you know, you saw it like with, who was the lady? Was it the African lady? Was it Rose? What was her surname? Sorry, I've forgotten her name. And she was the first African lady who said no, she wasn't going to sit at the back of the bus. A Negro lady over in the States. This is years and years ago. And having the women's movement, you know, the women's suffragettes standing together going, no, it's not okay. We need a voice. And they flew in the face of politics. They flew in the face of being ostracized by other women even. You know, you can't count on those guys because they were like, no, you know, it's not accepted. It's not the norm. You know, you can't be doing that. Brave woman, like seriously, Xena warrior shoes mega, like to walk down a street where people are probably throwing eggs and stuff at them, you know, that's super Xena. But those ladies, they could count on each other. They were walking down that street together. They were like, we will band together, we will stick together until this message crosses the line, until something is actually done. And those kind of people, we need more of them. We need more of a voice. I think there's so much, and dare I say, I don't think social media has really helped, because there's a lot of expectation to be superficial, dare I say it, and I hate to say the word, but you know, authentically, I find it quite hollow. You're trying to, you know, look perfect, be perfect, appear perfect, everything's peachy, everything's groovy, when really, you know, remember I was talking about that apple in Facebook quite often, where the front of it's all nice and glossy and everything, and then out the back it's like it's all been eaten away, and it's like, what's really going on? Which is why I want that whole Get Real campaign going, where it's like, get real, like what is actually happening. And I want to start these talks where, you know, it's like shoes off what's really going on, you know, like shoes off sessions, like tell us, like, let's get down to the real thing. And when we get to those deeper things, we have deeper relationships, deeper connections, deeper connection with you know, people in our community, with people in the group. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world. You know, if you know you're a super soul sister, you could go, I'm struggling, you might be in the same town or whatever, and it's like, you can count on me, I'll be there. Where do you want to meet? I'll meet up with you for a cup of tea or a coffee or whatever, and see if we can help. Now look, maybe is that idealistic? I don't know, I mean, you tell me, but I would like to have it where that possibility, my intention at least, is out there to go, let's change that dynamic of that superficial, let's keep it shallow, you know, where you get ditched if you have the slightest wobble and it might be scorned upon by the herd. You know, BS, do you want to be part of the herd? Do you want to be part of a herd that runs with shallow, superficial, don't like to go deep, certainly wouldn't be there if something happened to you, would throw you under the bus at a heartbeat, even if it wasn't even intentional? It might be that, well, you know, they fear so much that, well, the retribution of not being able to go to the tennis club, or being accepted into the whatever club, or you know, that's just not how it's done club, you know, this is the tradition, you know. Isn't it time that changed, like where we got more of us on board, where we can go, you can count on me, like it doesn't matter what's going on, and look, that person may not want to share it with everyone, absolutely fine, honor that, you know, but still be there. Like when the chips are down, are they there for you, you know? And look, I find, like, even when I had my kids, I was explaining this to some other ladies yesterday actually, where when I had my kids, we live in Queenstown, and our closest relative is 4 hours drive from here. And I ended up having a C-section, and I'm frightfully independent, in case you hadn't picked that up. And I had visions of having this lovely hypno water birth, and I ended up with an emergency C-section for both of them. And that basically meant that I was flat on my back. Well, not flat on my back, but basically I was out of action for 6 weeks. You're not allowed to lift anything heavy. You're not even technically supposed to pick up your baby. You're not allowed to lift anything that's heavy above your arms in case you split your stitches. You can't go for walks. You can imagine what that was doing to me, because, you know, I get out of the house every day. And you know, here I am going, you know, I'm not allowed to drive. I mean, like, I was like, oh, you're kidding, I can't even drive. And you know, you pretty much needed a car basically to get around at that stage. So I was just like, oh, you know, it was a real humbling experience, and especially not to have someone who I could lean on in a physical way where, you know, it was like, hey sissy, you know, or my mum or whatever. Like, they're in South Africa. My sister did come over later, thank God, and it was such a godsend. Like, really, I so needed her, especially for, you know, my one child. And I was just like, I was on my knees because I didn't know I had, at this stage, that I had postnatal depression. And honestly, I think just by the virtue of the fact that we are geographically so dislocated now, that we are then dislocated for other means. So, you know, in the old days, if you think about it, we had very close-knit tribes, like the African tribes, you know, they live in a village, and it's all about the village, and everybody knows about the people in their village. And you know, the African women actually go out into the fields with their babies strapped on their backs, and all the women go out in the fields and they hoe the fields and they gather the corn and etc., you know, or they go out and gather berries. But they're very connected. And if they, even now, like, you know, if they have to go out and work, then the grandmother or the parents will step up and look after that baby. So it's still kept within the family unit, and that family unit is being split just by the fact that it's so easy to travel somewhere. We have, we're married into other, you know, cultures, and you move into another country and it's a completely different culture. And now we're in an environment, I mean, hands up anybody who knows this, okay? If you own a business and you've got kids, just say I, okay? You will get my story here. So now I've had kids. I'm used to having my own businesses, you know, where my children were my staff. Now I have my own child at that point, and it was like, okay, not allowed to drive anywhere, can't do anything, can't go anywhere, not even technically supposed to change nappies. You know, I was just like, all my mates own businesses. I can't exactly phone them and go, oh, hey, I know you're the CEO of your business, but would you mind popping over to change my baby's nappy? I mean, like, they just gotta go. I just couldn't do that to them. So I felt incredibly unsupported, not because people were intending it, but they were also so busy. So in Queenstown, because it's a holiday town, most of my, you know, the people that I know, my family, you know, well, my friends mainly, because it's mainly us that, you know, we don't have many family members who live here. But, you know, it's that whole environment of they're so busy. They're working like 6 or 7 days a week. A lot of people are working 2 jobs so that they can pay the bills. To have time to what? To come over and help you change nappies and clean your house or do whatever? No, like, I just wouldn't even make that request in the first place. And it put a lot of pressure on me. And after my second child, I didn't know this, and I'm pretty sure I was never actually diagnosed, but I think I had postpartum, you know, depression, you know, postnatal, you know. And you know, I went to the doctor, and because I'm so jovial and I'm always with it, and, you know, on top of things, and I'm a coach and all this sort of thing, she's like, nah, you'll be all right, you'll be fine. And that is something that people say here a lot, is like, she'll be all right, she'll be all right. And I was actually saying, no, I'm actually not all right. And it was only when I did a hair analysis test, actually, to see where my hormones were, and they were completely out, like they were all over the place. And my naturopath that I've now partnered with up in Auckland sent me down the stuff. And honestly, it was like liquid. It looked like brown sludge, but it tasted like licorice. And I took this stuff, and honestly, I came out of that and I was like, oh my gosh, this is what the real world looks like. So my hormones got balanced, and my sister came over and she helped. But when you know, like, we can be there virtually, like, you know, on Zoom a lot more now than we ever had before. We have the capacity to connect on, you know, Facebook and wherever else and support. But I'm talking about the real deep support. Like, rather than just sending a message going, oh yeah, mate, I hope you're okay, actually go, mate, do you want to talk? Like, don't do that superficial, throw your lifeline. God, I hope she doesn't reach out and actually grab it, because I don't actually want to answer. I can't be doing that. I'm far too busy. You know, I've got better things to do. You know, no, let's biff those shoes. We don't want those shoes anymore. We want to go, do you know what? You've reached out to me and something just went inside. That didn't make me sound like you were very happy to me. Like, is there more to this than meets the eye? Or are you saying that you're okay when you're really not? And can we start looking behind that superficial facade that we have been so trained to put up there, to go, honey, what's really going on, and do we need to have a wee catch up, and would you like more than one, and it doesn't have to be someone in the group. If you're more comfortable talking with somebody outside of the Super Soul Sister group, the Vicki Jane group, by all means reach out, but make sure they've got count on me shoes, because one of the things that obviously we land up doing is, like, you reach out to the wrong person and then they're not there, and you go, oh well, see, nobody's there for me, and it supports and validates your negative argument that nobody's there for you, which is quite often rubbish. And if that is the case, then you're obviously reaching out just to the wrong person. You need to reach out to the right type of people who can actually help you, and sometimes that does mean professional. As much as it pains me to say it, because there's so much stigma attached to it, it's just like, whatever, like, if it's going to make a difference, change the way you put the label on, and have it where it's something different, instead of calling them a counselor or a psychologist or whatever it is that doesn't work for you. Like I sometimes say to people, don't even think of it like that. Let's just say that we're having a wee yarn, like we're just going to have a wee chat, and if it makes a difference, hey baby, why not? Why not? What have you got to lose? You're not going to feel worse than what you really are, by having a chat. So you've got absolutely nothing to lose by doing that. So take that step forward. Get your count on me shoes on, please, ladies. Like, we've got to be there more for each other than what we currently are. And don't do that superficial, throw me out a lifeline kind of thing. Like, when you throw it out, mean it. Stick with it. Get your count on me shoes and stick with it right through to the end. Even if it's tough, if you can't do it, then find people who can help you. Go, you know what, this is beyond my capabilities, but I'm going to get it. And that's not an option for you to palm it off. That's for you to still be there in the full capacity, 110% for that person, as much as you possibly can be, whilst also having them get help from the professional or whoever else is actually needed in order to shift this person from A to B. So when somebody goes down in this group, I want someone to be able to go, and even yourself, do you know what? I need help. Reach out. You go, right, I'm down, okay? Other ladies, please step up, stand up, and go, right, we're going to pick you up, and now we're going to lift you up. Does that sound good? Okay. If it was you, wouldn't you want that for you as well? Okay. Big difference. Let's start making the shift today. Okay, let's get those shoes on, ladies. If you're interested, say, great, I think that's a great idea. Please just thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, pass this around on YouTube. If you're in the Facebook group, fantastic. Just give us a little wee comment and say thanks. I appreciate the support, and I'm keen. And if somebody needs me, I'll be there. Just put in I'll be there, or hashtag I'll be there. Okay, count on me shoes, hashtag count on me. All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate it, and we will see you next time. Namaste.